Hello, this is Greg Gallus on Green Greg's coming to you on the 3rd of January 22. Time on deck is about 12:40 hours Central Daylight Time. And we're going to talk about 10 things that you got to be aware of. 10 predictions for the year 2022 with about 3 or 4 bonuses thrown in on top of that. And you say, Greg, it's not the 3rd of January. No, it's not. You're going to see this about the 4th of January. I don't post videos the same time I record them. And I want you to see my video on China first, which I've not posted yet, because that video is preliminary to this. So see my China video. That's a very important video. It'll probably post today, hopefully. Now, that said, and I got some other good videos coming up. I got one with Wednesday with General Ken Krosniak and John Hollerman, who's best-selling author with EMP Consultant, and EMP Impact America with General Krosniak. And on Thursday, I've got an interview with Dr. David Pine. David Pine is, he's the Deputy Director of the EMP National Homeland Security Task Force. Now, you got to watch that one too, because he is convinced that unless things change radically, that we're heading for a war with Russia. Near term. Big war. Could get ugly. And this is why y'all need to listen to these predictions. You need to watch my China video. And you need to prep like you never prepped before. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of you preppers don't want to hear it, but one of the top things you can do for prepping is gardening. Gardening is one of the best preppings you can do, because it will feed you long after everything else runs out. And you can keep the seeds. This is a multi-decade, generational type thing. We'll go on garden look at it in a little bit. But check out my links below to my Patriot Supply for a good source of seeds and other things to grow with. And you might even make a living at it. Who knows? Or a little extra change. I do that. All right, back to the top. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and make the notification bell, because I bring you a lot of videos about things you can keep your eyes wide open for and head on swivel, and that's part of this series. Eyes wide open, head on swivel, guys. You're my swivel heads. That's what I call my followers. All right, so let's get on with it. We'll take a little walk and talk here. We'll walk around the woods here, and I'll show you something besides my ugly mug. There's plenty of other stuff to see today. Now, probably everybody in the country's got this nice white global warming. It's falling upon all of us, right? Boy, it's so warm. Yeah, I tend to subscribe to the grand solar minimum, guys. And that plays into what we're going to talk about. But so there's givens, 5 givens. One given is inflation, guys. Inflation is already happening. There's my cat. One of them. That is Brady cat. All right. Inflation and stagflation. Inflation is already happening, guys, and it's about to rear and go worse. When I was in the Army in 1979, I was shocked because I joined the Army for some little $225 a month benefit that I had to actually contribute $75 a month then to qualify for. And I was going to get $225 back. Wasn't a GI Bill, guys. And when I saw Jimmy Carter's double-digit inflation after I joined the Army, I felt like I was severely ripped off. Oh, I was not a happy camper. I knew that money was going to be worthless for college. Anyway, so there's a wood hinge. Kind of a pond right now. We just got a big flood of rain, guys. Huge rain flood. So stagflation is when you have both. You know, inflation normally goes with the growing economy. But when you have the inflation increasing prices and the economy is not growing, maybe people are losing their jobs, you call that stagflation. That's what happened during the Carter years. And it could happen again because we've done a lot of the same things economically with our easy cash, easy credit. It's going to put a lot of strain on our economy. Our dollar is losing value. The only thing that's keeping our dollar going is all the other world currencies also stink. That's helped us out a lot. And the fact that the US dollar is the world reserve currency. That has really kept us from becoming a Weimar Republic. But, you know, you can only spend trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and get away for it so long, and sooner or later the roosters are coming home to roost. And that's where we're at now. They're all coming home to roost. Now, that's one item. That's the number one item because it's already occurring. The other item is cyber attacks. Guys, we've already been under cyber attack, as you know. Yeah, the bees are all holed up in their hives. They're not buzzing out. Some of the hives are totally snowed over. Check it out, guys. Oh, I see some bees here. Dead ones on the porch. Yeah. Interesting. I guess that's where the dead ones would go. Anyway, so cyber attacks. Well, remember we had the cyber attack on our pipeline here back this summer in the Colonial Pipeline. And attacks like that have proven to be very profitable to a lot of the attackers. Now, that particular case, they didn't really make a lot of money on it. I think they wound up losing it because they got counter-hacked. But it's very tempting for just monetary gains, for ransom of systems, to do cyber attacks. But that hurts us as people. But also, from a military standpoint, cyber attacks are very lucrative because sometimes you just can't tell who launches them, and you can really do your opponents a world of hurt. You can tie them up, you can pin them down, you can shut down their power grids, and all kind of things. It's the power grid I worry about the most, and that also affects our ability to respond militarily. And we'll come back to the power grid stuff in a minute under a couple other topics, but our power grid, guys, is one of the things I worry about the most, and that's why you need to prep, and prep the most. Kit don't mind the snow there. So what you need to know then is, also I had to go to prepwithgreg.com and check out my $100 off 3-month supply of long-term 25-year food. Here, fine greens, dandelion greens. Here in January with snow on the ground. That's the beauty of Alabama. There's always something green to eat. I'm expecting the chickweed to start coming up real soon too. So the kudzu just finally died out. That's one of my compost trailers there. Y'all know that's my greenhouse. I got my worm farm back here. So cyber attacks are a given. Civil unrest, riots. Guys, we're coming into an election year. And America has never been more divided, and you know, that goes without saying. You all know that pretty well by now. Our country is deeply, deeply divided. And no matter who wins, you better expect some strife this year. Midterm elections are going to be very important. The Democratic Party is looking at losing quite a position in this election, and they're probably going to be pretty sore over that prospect. So you might expect Antifa and BLM to pop in. You might expect people on both sides to be involved in civil unrest. So just keep your eye open for that, guys. There's my sled bed, worm beds. Some in-ground beds, more in-ground beds. They're not all full of worms yet. I got to get them filled up before I start selling worms again. Maybe spring, may even be in the summer if I can get them all where I want them. Anyway, enough said on that. So, and talking about these civil unrest could also just be from food shortages and things like that. That happens in a lot of countries. And that can further impact the supply chain. So you could have like a self-eating watermelon here, where one thing, or a chain reaction that people are having, because I'm expecting the item number 4 to be supply chain shortages. Supply chain issues and shortages. They're going to continue for a while, guys. We're not out of the woods. We've got more bug breaking out. And, you know, it's going to take time to recover just from having the supply chain issues we had. And if we have a war, well, that's really going to mess it up. Any kind of war is going to really severely impact our supply chain. Civil unrest can affect our supply chain, and civil unrest could be due to lack of food. Could be supply chain issues, might lead to supply chain disruptions. So it could just be a self-eating watermelon. That's what I'm saying, guys. That's not how this phrase is usually used, but all the greens here in the snow. And here in Alabama, one of the cool things is this even this large garlic will continue to grow. It's fine. Look at it. It may have snow alert, but it's not hurting at all. So just something. My solar panels are covered. I got to get them freed up. It's going to get to 18 here in a couple of nights. Yeah, here in Alabama. So because of all these issues, you can expect economic collapse potentially here in the United States. Definitely China. I've just talked about China. Well, China's situation, go see my China video. China's situation could affect us. China's situation, because there's so much foreign investment in their real estate market. Just think about when the real estate collapsed here back in 2008 with Bear Stearns and all that. It caused a global recession. And that was nowhere as big as the realty issues going on in China right now. So you can expect to have a very severe global economic crises because of that. And again, that can come back on the supply chain and food and shortages and all kind of stuff. So these things are all interrelated. I just saved my greenhouse last night in the wee hours. did a video on that. So, and all this comes back to EMP, solar, CME, grid down. Well, I'm going to talk about war in a little bit. CME is a natural event from the sun, and the sun is coming back to be a little bit more active now. So she could definitely, even in a grand solar minimum, throw out a CME that could take out a grid. But sometimes you get the big ones when the sun's not as active. It's just like it kind of saves up and it throws out a great big one instead of a bunch of smaller ones. But you kind of expect those things in a more active period of the sun too. So we're not out of the woods for a CME by any chance. And it's also, we may be more vulnerable to it because Earth's magnetic field is getting weaker. And as Earth's magnetic field gets weaker, smaller storms could take us out. And I'm going to do another one on the magnetic field. That's a whole other category I'm going to cover here in a minute. But, so, the whole thing with the EMP is that that would be tied into the war. We may have electromagnetic pulse. And it might be shy of us having a war. If we get hit by a pulse, we may not be able to fight, guys. Because even our forces abroad, if they're going to launch strategic weapons, they require that emergency activation alert, which are activation message, EAM, which they're not going to receive if all the transmitters get burned out, which very well could happen because the EMP superweapon can put out 200,000 volts per meter, which exceeds at least the old hardening requirement for our military installations. So bear that in mind. The way we may or may not respond is going to be very much in question. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying it may be in question, and our enemies may be banking on that if they decide to attack us. And if they decide to attack us, there are by definition enemies. But even if an EMP don't happen, eventually the sun's going to get us, guys. We got to get the grid hardened. That's one other thing I've been pushing for hard. And also, you need to prep in case it does. You seriously need to be prepping for that. We're going to go more into that EMP stuff soon. Civil War. This goes back to the strife issue. Our nation is so divided, it may go into full-blown civil war. I hope if it gets to that point, we'll just have a national divorce. You know, the Soviet Union broke apart. Yugoslavia broke apart. A lot of nations have broken apart without a civil war. Some people think, well, America, if we break apart, it's got to be a civil war. Well, why? 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 It don't have to be, but it could be. And if it's not, again, you're going to be facing a lot of disruptions, guys. And you may have not a full-blown civil war, but you may have guerrilla activities. You may have terrorist activities. You may have activities like riots and civil unrest. That you can bank on, with or without a full-blown civil war. Let's hope we don't have a full-blown civil war. It's the ugliest thing you can imagine. A war is horrible. A civil war is beyond horrible. We don't want that, really. But, you know, we got to find a way to deal with our differences in some fashion. If we can't come together, then we need to find a peaceable way to split the sheets and divide the hickory nuts, if you know what I mean. So let's hope it don't come to that, but if it does, let's hope we can do so peacefully. So let's keep that in mind, guys. There's no reason that we need to go to bang-bangs over that, but it could happen. There is a real risk of it, a very real risk, and a lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum are talking about that right now, and the number of people talking about it are increasing. I mean, if one side absolutely thinks they have to restrict our civil liberties upon they're going to take away our right to defend ourselves after they shut down the police and after they told people it's okay to riot and burn and loot and after they've decriminalized a lot of stuff they have, and there's no law enforcement to come take care of you, and if they were, they wouldn't get to you fast enough anyway. Guys, that don't make walking around sense in my book. I'm not buying that, and I'm not going to be part of it. But I don't advocate, like I said, I do not advocate violence in any shape, form, or fashion. I do advocate defending yourself. And you see from the other night where I ran to my daughter, she thought somebody's broken in her house. I'm not going to hesitate. Guys, I'm going to be right on top of it. Like white on snow. That's when I'm going to go. You know, you got to take care of you and yours. If you don't do that, then what are you? If you're a man, you take care of your family. That's what you got to do. That's your job. And if you ain't up to that, you're not a man. You're something else. Now, some people can't. They don't have the abilities. Okay, fine. But, you know, man up. Take care of your family. A lot of women man up too, by the way. Sometimes there's more of them manning up than there are men manning up these days. You know what I mean? All right. Civil War. World War III. This is number 8 on my list. Well, number 9 actually. So I went from givens to possibilities. When I started in economic collapse, that was the possibilities. Economic collapse, EMP, Civil War, World War III, and magnetic pole flip. I'm painting all those under possibilities. World War III. Well, just look at where we're at today in the world. The international tensions with Russia, off the charts. With China, off the charts. Iran, off the charts. North Korea, but especially Russia and China right now, guys. We are in a pickle there. There's things we could do. That's what David Pine and I will be talking about Wednesday. No, David and I are going to be talking Thursday. Well, David Pine and I will be talking about that Thursday. There are things you might can do to help alleviate that, including contacting your Congress critters, going to our Freedom Restoration Foundation website and using it for what it can be used for in the Action Center page. So just bear those things in mind, and we might have a future that we can find. So, all right. The as you know, we may have a magnetic pole flip. I've mentioned that. If we do, you can have a lot of increased UV on the ground. It's believed that 42,000 years ago, a magnetic pole flip may have contributed to the demise of the Neanderthal people, Neanderthals, however you want to say it. That a magnetic pole flip may have been the contributing thing, because there's a lot more UV reaching the ground, and it was hard on plants and animals. And when plants and animals are suffering, food supplies are suffering. Again, reason to have long-term storage food, store seeds, and be able to grow when you can again, especially if we have a war like World War III, nuclear winter. Yeah, you better be able to grow on your own, but you better be able to store some in the meantime. That's why that prepwithgreg.com deal you might want to consider, especially if you're bugging out. I got a little swamp here, and my bridge is a little bit covered with water, but I got on my boots today. I didn't have them on last night. So we're going to ford across this. My boots are waterproof. My feet are kind of, don't like boots, guys. And they don't like me. My feet are, just can't stand boots really. There's my log barn. And I got a lot of piles of stuff out here. There's no rabbit hutch I got to repair. The reason I got all these bottles, worm tea. You know, I considered buying a bunch one time, but I don't have a good place to store them, so I put them in bags here. That's where I can jug up worm tea. Hopefully I'll have some big worm tea sales this year. And there's the barn. So, let's come back around here. So, bonuses. Did y'all know this was the year of Soylent Green? Yes. The movie Soylent Green was set in 2022. Soylent Green, believe it or not. We're there. I've said many times it's like we're living in a science fiction movie, a grade B, or maybe a multitude of science fiction movies simultaneously. I can think of a few different ones that we might be suffering through right now. But sure enough, we are in some strange times right now. Soylent Green was, it starred Charlton Heston, and the premise was that the world was out of food. Yeah, kind of like we are now, with food challenges. And so they turned to these little tablets that everybody was eating and demanding because it was about the only thing they could get to eat. Everybody was happy to get them, and they fought for them. And turned out the tablets were made out of people. It's people. So kind of a shocking discovery. That's all they had left to eat was each other. That's how bad it was, in their dystopian future. No wonder Charlton Heston later became the president of the NRA. Well, I can see that, right? So there you go, my friends. Top of my house. Up there. And let's see. We got a couple wooden decks back here. Let's see here. Now, another thing, the bonus would be to consider the hive, the metaverse. Metaverse is coming, and I don't think it's good. So we got to be ready for that. It don't mean it's a tool. It don't mean it couldn't be good, but look who's controlling it. That's always a problem. Mark Zuckerberg, all his thought police and fact checkers, and you want to let them inside your head? That's the real question. So that's a couple things, and also bear in mind too that we face a lot of unknown wildcard challenges. There's natural catastrophes that can occur. Those are usually local, although they could be global if you get like a CME or a big asteroid strike. Probabilities of those are lower on a per year basis, but it could happen. This is my mushroom house, guys, that we're building. Planning to grow mushrooms in here. This room here is going to be my lab for, now there's going to be edible mushrooms. I know what you're thinking, no edibles. That'll be my lab for working with spores. This will be my place for getting the fruits, getting them started. This will be the fruiting room. I'll transfer them over here the last few weeks. So I'll move them from room to room. I plan to put an autoclave out here to sterilize the growth medium. There we go, guys. So, there we have it. What else you need to know? Key thing to know is this. They try to slide us into Metaverse and all these other things that they may have in store for us. And the re-of-set, it's not so great. From the World Economic Forum, that was in my China video too, guys. Yeah, even if we don't have war, if we do have war, I think on the other side they want to catch us in a system like that. Just remember, always, there's more of us than there are of them. There are more of us than there are of them. What that means is you don't have to take it. If you know what their real agenda is, and if it's not good, and you're being herded to the processing plant, the packing plant, then don't just go along. You know, there might be somebody standing there with a rapid auto bang bang, but you know what? Enough of y'all still take them out, even if all you got is your hands. I mean, if the alternative is, you know, you're going to be heading into the processing plant, if you know what I mean, then you take care of yourself. You do what you got to do. You charge. Whenever you're ambushed, charge. Whenever you're caught in a situation like that, charge. Like I said, I don't advocate violence, but then the violence is already prescribed. It's already coming to you. That's called self-defense. When you're trying to prevent a violence that's aimed upon you, it's self-defense. I do not prescribe or advocate violence in any shape, form, or fashion, except for self-defense. You got to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your friends. You're expected to do that. If you don't do that, there's something wrong with you. So, all right. Enough said of all that. Anyway, that's some of the things you can look out for, but you got to really prep, guys. This is a year we need to prep above all, because the things coming at us are shocking. The probability of these things are really high this year. Some of these things are going bad. That's why I want you to get yourselves ready. That's why I want you to think. You can watch a lot of my videos. There's other channels got good videos too about prepping. Make sure to check them out. And so just get aware as you can, but practice. Don't just watch YouTube. Get out there and do some of this stuff, including start a garden. Go camping, do bushcrafting, get some exercise. It's Greg, like you need some. Yeah, I do. I used to be a skinny guy, but I got some issues as you get older. Here's my front yard. There's my microgreens trailer. Here is Betsy Blue, covered with snow. Even though it's on in the day, you can see it's pretty darn deep. We were supposed to just got a dusting, but maybe just a little bit on grass tops is what they told us. My neighbor still got their yard full of snow, and it's been out in the sunlight. This one is just melted because we've had so much traffic on it. Vanna White. I'll have to take her out in town tonight. Man, okay, it's that deep on there. Huh, I guess it's melted more on the blue. There's my big truck. So that's it, guys. Just remember, it's the year of Soylent Green. This is the year that they predicted dystopian future for us. Several dystopian visions for this day and time. And, you know, it is kind of dystopian already. Ever since that bug broke out. Ever since Klaus Schwab got some of his wild, grand ideas based on that. We've been living in dystopian times. So, once again, there's more of us than there are of them. But the most important thing to do is make sure your loved ones know you love them. Your family members, especially your kids. They need more love than anybody. Your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews. This is a time they need some assurance, some special love. They always do. Kids need that. It's good for mental stability and for people of all age. So, including your elderly family members. or even the ones that are mid-age. Everybody, they say for good mental health you need 14 hugs a day. So make sure you go out and tell the people you love them. And as I always said, is light dispels darkness, love dispels hate. Go out and shine your love light in the world. Once again, videos coming up. The China video should be already up. Watch it. Watch that. If you hadn't watched that, watch it. Now, got the video coming up with John Hollerman and General Krosniak. John Hollerman was very popular, y'all, last time. And got a video coming up with David Pine on Russia. So watch them. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. And I'll probably post this most likely on the 4th, possibly the 5th. Thank you for watching. Bye.